I don't know. I'm definitely not an expert in all these things. People feel free to correct me, but I did do a decent amount of research back in the day. There was a point where I was going to be a Korean teacher. Korean teacher. An English teacher in Korea. There was a point where I was also definitely considering my chances of actually doing like GSL commentary and whether it would be worth to actually live in Korea. The short answer is no, it's absolutely not. It is not. But yeah. I've been very close in the past to moving to Korea, and I moved there even for like 3 months, the full length of a tourist visa, but family and cats keep bringing me back. Top left, it is MaxPax. Bottom right, it is Clem. Now we got ourselves a best of 5. So, of course, YouTube listening to this are like, what the hell's been going on? Talking about visas, since we just cast the special, but he lost 0-2 to MaxPax. So now we're back to Europe versus Europe. Could not remember the name Denmark. I could not remember the country of Denmark. Denmark versus France. The Daneland. Nailed it. And we do expect Clem to win. MaxPax has a real weakness to top-tier Terrans, I think, just in general. I don't think it's severely weak, and I think his score versus Clem is better than his score versus Hero Marine. But I haven't actually checked in a while. I just know that I personally am very much on board with MaxPax's late game versus Terran. I think he's doing exactly what Terrans hate. I don't think the same thing about his early game. His early game, in my opinion, still is actually kind of relying on tricks. But it's funny because his early game can be tricky builds to handle, like a Dark Templar rush, like a 4-gate Blink Stalker build. He actually is trying to use them in a way that's like both threatening as the build itself, as well as actually capable of macroing out of it. So, yeah, it's not like he's actually just all-inning. It's just that he does seem to be trying to push something new. And I don't know, it just never works. From what I've seen. But anywho, let's see which one he tries here. Clem did go for an engineering bait block, which MaxPax was not at all prepared to stop. Nip it in the bud. So he does take his Nexus on the 3rd location. This has been pretty figured out, though, on the Protoss side. I mean, it's still tricky. But it's been pretty much figured out on the Protoss side how to compensate for any follow-ups from this point. First and foremost, the scariest follow-up is something that's multi-pronged. Or just quick. So, Hellion drops. They're quick. They're speedy. They kill things super neatly. But Stargate follow-ups to this were extremely popular. They kind of took care of that, plus many other things. MaxPax actually isn't going for a Stargate, though, which I find surprising. Because he took his Nexus where he did. Because he is MaxPax. But I guess in this matchup, it's not as common for him to go for Stargate. So he instead goes for Gateways, which this is nonetheless, like, no matter how much I say, well, I guess it makes sense that MaxPax would try this. It is a weird response. 3 Gateways coming down. Something that we'd see from, I think, Estrella as well, is apparently a thing. And, oh, well, for this purpose, it is totally fine. Like, it is going to demolish Clem's little attempted move out here. Clem was probably hoping to find someone just trying to macro out of this. Instead, he finds someone 3-gating him. But for actually engaging the Terran on their side of the map? Maybe. Oh, the body block on the Adepts! The Cyclone couldn't make its way out into that high ground, and with 2 Cyclones, this is a lot more manageable. Just with 1, the damage will be had on the SCV front, but will it be enough damage? I don't think so. 2 SCVs? Definitely not. Definitely not. MaxPax, maybe with a proxy gateway, would have been a lot more intimidating, but at the end of the day, he not only doesn't do a lot of damage while sacrificing his army, he also kind of like hamstringed himself by not adding on technology. Even though Protoss does have this wonderful thing called Chrono Boost. 1, you can't Chrono Boost buildings, like buildings, right? You can't make them build faster. Second of all, it's only going to make up for so much time. So the lack of a Twilight Council upgrading Blink right now and finishing Blink as I speak is a big deal. Said it's a Warp Prism going to pop out, and the Twilight Council, well, We'll see what he gets. He is gonna get Blink. Okay. It's gonna be very late Blink. Obviously. But he's gonna try and brute force it. We're almost 2010, guys. It's almost a 4-gate. And Clem does not have a lot of units right now. This factory is no longer pumping tanks, not even a Widow Mine on the way out, and we even have a little supply block going on. But the Cyclone is going to get the lock on, is also going to get taken down, doesn't even deal hull damage to that Warp Prism. This is a bold move in here from the Stalkers, and I think it's not worth it. No blink back, obviously, so every single Stalker will lose its life for that tank snipe. Yeah, it's not worth it, right? I'm always second-guessing myself since we're seeing something, for all intents and purposes, completely new. It's definitely not seen very often, this particular brand of Protoss. And now Clem has Stim. Now he has Medivacs. Now he has an army that is drastically superior. It is so superior, they should make a new word for it. I love the micro, though. I love the attempt here from MaxPax, but even if Blink is gonna finish, nothing kills this many. The bio is just too good. It's just too good. A shield battery's not even done. Oh, Lord. Maybe with a shield battery, because shield batteries are also pretty good. Am I right, guys? But still, even with a shield battery, that would not have worked out. MaxPax gonna get clobbered. Wow, and his instinct is to go for a Warp Prism again. Oh, because the Dark Shrine. Yeah, okay. I feel that. Pro pull, surprisingly effective when we're talking about just 5 Terran units. 7 probes go down, but hey, MaxPax is on 3 Nexus. So, could be worse. He's down 3 workers, and the Terran is dropping 2 mules at a time. Well, not actually. Clem realizes there must be a Dark Shrine. Oh, he scouted it. Duh. But actually, he was holding on to energy even before he scouted it. I do believe. So he just put 2 and 2 together. MaxPax plus Protoss plus Superfoe behind equals Dark Shrine. Can MaxPax pull himself out of this position? No. Not without Clem messing up, I would argue. This is not a good army. 1 Colossus an army does not make. An army 1 Colossus does not make. That's definitely the way you should have said that. This is why I do these things on my own stream in little rinky-dink open cups, okay? I don't say it when I'm casting. Goodbye, Colossus! And MaxPax is going to lose game 1. A very unorthodox response to the engineering bay block. And I'm actually trying to think of how that would have gone better for MaxPax. I'm positive there is a way that goes brilliantly for MaxPax, because I find it hard to believe that A, he hasn't done it before. This kid plays a ton of games. And 2, I just read some news that really threw me off, so I totally lost my train of thought. And 2... Nope, I completely lost my train of thought. Fuck. What are they thinking of? Oh, his opener. His opener. Oh, right. So I gotta believe it works sometimes, because 1, he's probably played it before. 2, even if it's new, like, MaxPax has built up a pretty good gut instinct about the game to be at the level he is. So, you know, not to say that pros have never tried something kind of new and went, oh, Jake, yeah, that wasn't really good at all. My bad, guys. Like, of course they make their own mistakes, but I'm trying to think of what that would actually be good against, because it seemed like it actually started off okay. Clem was even caught by surprise, so he lost Cyclone right off the bat. if it had been straight into tank production. Oh, you know what? Maybe it was a Widow Mine. Maybe if it was Hellions. You know what? Yeah. Yeah, okay. If it was Hellions, the Hellions die pretty quickly because they aren't expecting an army there. So maybe they get saved, but then they're not exactly a fighting force, so it could be one of those weird, like, army, like terrible economies for both players because they're both not capable of defending their workers. Even then, it feels like the Terran would be in the favorable position because they would just lift. So even if they did spend time building 4 Hellions and then right into a tank. Yeah, you know what? That does make sense. So that's probably exactly what MaxPax was hoping for, was a very common follow-up of Hellions. Destroy the Hellions or stop them from doing damage. Find the Terran player having produced non-combat units, basically, for far too long. When the tank pops, you do the little micro that MaxPax was doing, and then there's not much else besides that. That does make sense. Well, that's not what he found, so. Game 1 goes to Clem. Top left, MaxPax. Bottom right, it's Clem. And Clem is once again Engineer Bay blocking. So MaxPax should have a very different response. Oh, he already has a different response. He's going for a Stargate proxy. Well, okay, I was gonna say there's 2 options. Clem could have Engineering Bay blocked and then actually finish the Engineering Bay and gone for a missile turret defense. Or he just cancels the Engineering Bay and just focuses on a factory expand, which he wasn't planning on doing, right? Only 1 gas, but you can change into decently enough with the scout timing that he had. So MaxPax might have been hoping that the SCV would not have scouted, that it would have just said, oh, I'm getting away with Engineering Bay, ha ha ha, and then he catches Clem in a worse position. I do believe Clem will always be a little scared of a proxy Stargate, no matter his scouting, but yeah, if he had to attempt to save the command center on the low ground, he'd be in a much, much worse position. As it is, this is how MaxPax has defeated Clem in the past. Even when it looked like Clem had finally figured things out, the truth is that Terran players have never truly 100% figured this out. So they know what to do, and it is usually the first and most important step for a pro, at the very least, for actually deflecting cheese, because we don't worry about them missing supply depots or stopping production. When it comes to the Stargate proxy void ray defense, that's not actually true. You can't know what to do, and still, depending on how your Cyclone gets body blocked by your Marines, you could still die. That was some really good micro, by the way, from Clem. I gotta highlight it, because not only did he pull the Marines back, like, oh wow, so impressive, right? No, he pulled the Marines back while body blocking with the remaining healthy Marines. So you saw MaxPax try and dive after for the last shot, and Clem had denied him high ground vision, so that was actually pretty sick. But anyways, tries to kill the shield battery on the low ground, does not do so. Gets into its hull a little bit, but that's not truly important. Cyclones, a Cyclone upgrade is kind of the default response. This is basically what Terran players have figured out. It is the best response, and then you add in a couple of Vikings and burst down those void rays pretty damn quickly. Well, this is going to cost that void ray its life, potentially, and it's not actually going to kill the bunker. Oh, it barely kills the bunker, but losing perhaps 2 void rays would not be worth it whatsoever. Losing the 1 is already questionable. That second void ray is under fire from the 2 Cyclones. Not yet with the upgrade, but it doesn't matter. The scan gets the kill, and Clem takes a 2-0. Boom. Easy. Easy peasy. So apparently the last time Clem lost to MaxPax, it was a best of 3 in December. And ever since then, they've been best of 5s, well, for the most part, and Clem has won them. The past 2 times they fought, they are both 3-0s in Clem's favor. Yeah. Huh. I'm still reading this news that forced me to lose my train of thought. Not that most of you guys will understand if I talk to you guys about the news. But I'll throw it in there if there's no cheeses. Just for something to discuss. Bottom left down 2 games on his last life already. It's MaxPax. Top right, we have Clem. And we don't have any proxies or early pylons, so yeah, why not bring it up? So there's a guy named Sean Garez, I think that's how you say his last name, and he's very popular CSGO talent, as well as Valorant. So he was a player, I believe, then he was a coach, then he was a caster, I think is the order of operations there. Then he moved to Valorant pretty much as soon as it was announced. As I don't know if he was really... I don't know if he was actually pushing his way into kind of like the top like 8 of CSGO commentators. I'm not sure. I know he was a very good analyst, but I think that the CSGO talent squad has been very rigid for a long time. In fact, I think their only recent new addition was
Thank you for becoming a member.
Dunachimon, thank you for the 6 months. What was those kind words? Anyways, he's very well respected. He seems like a really cool guy. I think he's great. Any technical skill he's lacking in commentary, he makes up with a lot of just like, almost like Boy Scout, like earnest levels. He's just really authentic. And he's really smart. Yeah, he didn't get invited to the most recent like big Valorant tournaments that's happening in Iceland again, which is actually a big surprise just as a community sentiment. But then he also tweets that since he wasn't invited, he's actually going to no longer be looking for a talent work. And then before people say like, oh, what a baby response, it's not like he's putting his foot down and crying and saying, I demand to be invited to everything. Seems like he might have already been thinking about moving on to like maybe a coaching role. But it's a big shock. It'd kind of be like, I mean, I guess the most equivalent thing I can think of would kind of be like if Roddy didn't get invited to, I guess Katowice might be the most equivalent that I can think of. And then says, you know what, I'm going to coach MaxPax to victory. That'd be, you know, quite shocking for the community. Anywho, what do we have going on in this game? Twilight Council is coming down for MaxPax, so of course 2 options there really when it comes to MaxPax. That's a 4-gate or a Dark Shrine. I'd love to say that he does occasionally do 2 gates or 3 gates, but it just doesn't seem like he does. Not too often. He really thinks the 4-gate has potential in both the actual 4 gates power as well as the ability to macro out of it. Not going to be able to kill this Reaper either. And that's a real problem for MaxPax, who, if he is sticking with this kind of like 50 DT, 50% 4-gate style of Protoss, he needs to make sure that Clem is in the dark for that too. Actually, he might be going with 2-base expand. Oh, why did I say that? Why? ZombieGrub, you so silly. You so silly. It is a 4-gate. And it's scouted, too, by that Reapers. This is what I was trying to point out. For MaxPax, he has 2 things that he does a lot of the time. And Clem would know that. So he at least wanted to have Clem have to take a 50-50 guess. And instead, Clem knows exactly what's up. He gets actually through into the natural as well. Kills 3 probes at Helene 1 hit from death. I mean, come on now. Even a secondary scout's pretty good, though, for Clem. Because MaxPax is the type of guy who would say, you know what? F it. I'm down 2 games. Let's hope that my wild, crazy antics throw him off, and let's actually just throw it on a Dark Shrine instead. Clem knows that is not the case. Now, Clem did still commit to 6 units out of the factory that aren't combat units. They don't stop the Stalkers here. So that's a little worrying. the 4 Widow Mines could be a severe amount of damage for MaxPax. At the very least, they're going to drag these Stalkers back, right? But for him to spend that much time on units that can't stop the Stalker attack, and then he loses the medevac as well. Big mistake there. That makes me a tad concerned. I mean, Clem knows that he's also in a very precarious position, so that bunker being shot down without anything actually using it's already bad. He's pulled the SCVs, he's trying to get the tank position. It won't even get the one shot. The Warp Prism is not going to get taken down either, as the Viking is forced to land and does get destroyed. The Marines are starting to take down some of these Stalkers. The Stalkers were very awkward there. Very awkward indeed. But more Stalkers enter there into the natural. There is nothing inside that bunker yet again. A tank on the high ground might be shot down. No, not this time. And actually gets a beautiful shot there. The SCV is going to surround all the Stalkers. And oh no! This is starting to turn around a little bit here. MaxPax looked like he was going to be in a beautiful position to even end this game. But Clem with the SCV pull, with perhaps over-eagerness displayed from MaxPax, might have just stopped the momentum here, and that's definitely most important. So while Clem has not won this game based off his defense, absolutely not. This could have been game over. Swear to God. Viking goes down. That's actually really good, because even landed, that thing's pretty useful. But a second tank is about to pop out. 3 barracks are producing 4 Marines at a time. Yeah, eventually this will be held. But Clem has lost a lot of workers. He's lost a lot of chances to produce workers and chances to throw down mules without them being interrupted. So MaxPax would love to do some more damage. More power to him if he does. Oh, I don't know about the Zealot Warping. That's actually really committed. Blinking on top of the one tank grabs that one, but there was a second tank behind it. Still free firing. And that was way overcommitted. I thought he was going to warp in more Stalkers and just dance around all of this open area. But the Zealots obviously make that more into an actual punch rather than an attempt to harass. 6 more SCVs go down. MaxPax has got a follow-up of Dark Shrine. Scan reveals a completely saturated base as well as the actual Dark Shrine. MaxPax was trying to hide it, I suppose. Tank gets 1 shot because it doesn't actually get taken down. The Viking does get that Warp Prism into the hole damage. Oh, and the Marines take it down as well. Oh no, this is truly turned around on MaxPax. Way over dedicated at this point. I mean, I feel like if he had just thrown it down a 3rd Nexus 3 warp-ins ago and just used his Stalkers to harass 4 Stalkers and a Warp Prism one-shot these SCVs, I feel like he would have continued to do SCV damage, continued to put pressure on Clem, and then just extended his lead back at home. I mean, MaxPax's 4-gate can be pretty good. But to bring up, I guess, the agreed-upon master of the 4-gate, I'm pretty sure the way I described would have been what Parting would have done. Yeah? Right? Parting very much loved the 4-gate opener because he did believe in its power, but he also was pretty good at making a bad situation into a decent one. And it had a lot to do with his recognition of when to pull back and when to just go for harassment. So his 4 Stalkers and a Warp Prism, Parting would often get an additional like 6 to 8 SCVs. So even if his actual 4-gate attack was not that good, he'd still make it a playable game. MaxPax going way in over his head has given Clem a lot of confidence in this game. So Clem might know that his economy has been bruised, but he knows that MaxPax also didn't get as fast of a 3rd base, so it's really not the worst situation. And now Clem also knows that his army is going to be good. He's not facing someone who saved most of their army and was building it up back at home. He knows he killed the army. Well, let's see if MaxPax can work his way out of this one, because as bad as those last few engagements started to go for MaxPax, he did actually have an initially great start. So, game is certainly not so one-sided. Upgrades are finally on the way. +1 weapon's gonna be faster here for Clem as he finally does his move outs. He's got about a 30? 20 supply lead. MaxPax is about to warp in as well. And MaxPax will have Blink, Charge, and Colossus, although no +1 and no Extended Thermal Lance. MaxPax is throwing on a lot of pylons to get some scouting, knowing, I guess, that he has no vision on the map and no time to produce observers. It's the best thing he can do. DTs go into the main base. The Warp Prism does get taken out, but 3 DTs still gonna wreak havoc as they did kill the missile turret. At least 1 scan's gonna have to be used, if not more. Plus, the units actually have to be controlled. There you go. And the SCVs, no! Oh, 26 SCVs go down, but can Clem win with this push is now the question. He does have 3 CC, but it is so difficult to defend it against someone who's making DTs. Another DT actually was still alive. It has another scan has to be used. Another mule not dropped. Forge is denied, but not actually killed. Drop over to the right side. Looks like it was cleaned up. MaxPax holds on to 55 workers on 3 bases. Clem down to 28, finding it difficult to afford his 3rd orbital. And now he's got to absolutely win this fight. 2 tanks firing it away. Look like they're going to do pretty well. One of mine's, though, little splash damage on top of their own units. Do clear out the Zealots. Are there enough Marauders left over to take down this Colossus? It looks like the answer is maybe yes, but the Marines are getting burnt to a crisp. So Clem decides to evacuate. A scan on that 3rd base does not feel good for Clem at this point. He knows he took too much damage to those DTs. Oh, and that Widow Mine. Brutal. Widow Mine drop is going to find all the army waiting. 2 Widow Mines still burrow, one of which gets 1 connection, but not a very good connection. Oh, this is awkward. Oh, this is very awkward. Cannon actually stopped. Oh, the probes were pulled far away enough. I was going to say the cannon stopped the probes from being pulled away quickly, but I thought they were going to make it. They did not. 14 probes go down. DT is finally cleared up on Clem's side of the map so he can get his 3rd CC down, and actually, with that Widow Mine drop, they are once again within the margins of a good TvP, sorry. Good TvP. MaxPax now only up, in fact, for 5 workers. Means that Clem, if he does start slapping down 3 mules, is going to have the economic lead. Now, MaxPax did have that probe lead for a while, so he already has these minutes of time, right, where he was making bank and able to invest into things where Clem could not. So the later you kill the workers, the little less impactful it is to the game. But Clem did just do a very important thing there. He made this game most likely not winnable to likely not winnable. Maybe even likely even. I think that's actually what he reduced it down to, was likely even. So Clem's gonna have this decent looking army. Tons of Marauders, 6 Vikings. Can't really afford to make too much more. He's lacking the gas right now, but another Widow Mine drop just killed 8 workers. The cannons don't actually stop all of the Widow Mines from burrowing. They basically stop 1, and then anything else is fair game. And Clem has now evened up the workers truly and entirely. The army supplies are very even as well, as they both finish their armor upgrades. Upgrades are very even. MaxPax, what does he actually have ahead of Clem at this point? Nothing. He was supposed to have a faster 4th base if he hadn't just lost 20 overall, 20 plus workers. Little Warp Prism harassment. That's always good to have. The Warp Prism will once again die, but it has been pretty much a worthwhile investment every single time it has been created. This time around, the DTs did not do nearly as much damage. There's a couple in the main, there is 1 in the natural, and there is still 1 actually hidden in the main as well, but 8 workers, certainly not 25. And MaxPax does finally grab that 4th Nexus. There you go, Nexus. Clem is building up one heck of an army. The upgrades might be the same, and in fact, could even find himself at a disadvantage if he waits too long. That fortress is so close to being sniped. But the amount of Marauders, 5 Ghosts, 10 Vikings, also pretty good against 4 Colossus. I think he'd want more like 12 or 14, but still. There's a good chance that Clem wins this based off of his attack alone. And in fact, that's probably what's going to have to be boiled down to. Can Clem win with one punch to the gut? The way that MaxPax plays like this. Like, he would even perhaps overinvest into harassment, and that's why he would lose the frontline engagements, but he would still win the game overall because DTs are trickier to handle. And there's not honestly much that Clem can do. Actually, I would say at this point, you might just want to turtle. You know that trying to go for a big attack up the middle to win the game isn't going to work against someone who's going to be forcing you to be all in, basically. But he's going to go for it. 'Cause the problem is that if it does go down to a base race, it's still very complicated for Clem. It shouldn't even go down to a base race because MaxPax should be able to hold at home with disruptors just being thrown out. And Clem is not going to be able to actually break that. One freebie Colossus right there. And we're talking about 5 disruptors, 3 of which have used their shot. Only 1 Marauder gets tagged there at the end. This disruptor also only finding one Marauder. And maybe, just maybe, Clem could actually win this. Are there any more disruptor shots? MaxPax is holding on to them. If so, it doesn't look like there are. There's one that just didn't hit anything at all, and Clem, well, he is forced into that all-in position like I was talking about. He's down to 20 workers, although it is 3 bases. He might be able to win the engagements. This is a ghost there. Still 6 disruptors. You know, the real pain is that he didn't actually kill any of them when their shots were on cooldown. Actually, MaxPax needs to be careful. He's throwing them out really consistently. And while 6 almost cover continuous waves of disruptors, it's a little tight. It's a little tight. 7th does appear, and I think that is kind of just covering the cooldown. But now the question is, what if he only has 1 disruptor, then it isn't going to cut it? What if indeed the focus fire was good enough? Oh my god, the focus fire was perfect. That was the only disruptor with the shot at the time. Exactly what I was worried about actually came through. Clem might have given himself a chance in this game, but dealing with DTs is going to prove too difficult. DTs on the offensive, DTs on the defense, and EMP does reveal all of them at this point in time. But we still have so much more to go through. Clem's on 28 workers. His army's about to die just to a couple of zealot swipes. His ghosts are going to be left behind. And that is absolutely brutal twofold, right? 1, EMP, super good. 2, another form of detection that he can no longer rely on. So scans are the only thing he has. And he's going to lift his main base. So actually, not even a scan there. MaxPax had 2-1 during that entire engagement. Now he's about to have 2-2. So his ground army actually gets stronger. But here come the fleet of Vikings. I guess Clem had pulled them back. Now realizes, well, they ain't doing anything else. Let's just bring them forward. And that is actually a feisty number of Vikings. That is really intimidating to a Protoss with no form of splash or range, right? If Colossus was here taking them down, the Vikings are really stupid, but with the Zealots running headfirst into what is still a chunky unit too? Maybe? Maybe. This is gonna go on the Reddit. Maybe. I don't know if Clem can win against the DT Warp-ins, but it looks like he might be able to. He still has 3 orbitals after all. MaxPax has not been warping in continuous DTs, just one after another, so it actually looks like Clem's gonna be able to win this. The Zealots aren't quite cutting it either. We're gonna have some last-second micro. Of course, you can't heal up the Vikings, so as they go down, they are permanently down, where the same might not have been said about the Marauders. Although if the Medivacs die, then obviously that is the same case. Only 3 units left here, plus the Medivacs. 2 of them are Vikings, which can't be healed up, so absolutely useless on the drop front. MaxPax holds with the help of some Blink Stalkers, but he had to put everything into that hold. He really couldn't even afford to warp in DTs. as he was broke on both minerals and income, gas income, so he had to pick and choose, and actually stalkers in that particular type of engagement are really useful. Really useful. But now things have calmed down. They both find themselves on... Well, MaxPax finds himself on 1 base mining. Clem is on 2. Clem actually successfully got his command center floated over, landed, and saturated without being disrupted. And this DT, funnily enough, is hitting one of the more useless portions of Clem's arm. Well, I guess that is really debatable, isn't it? I mean, I would say going after the economy is better, but if this DT had killed 5 Marauders as they popped out, well, then obviously that's a good DT. This game, though, the natural floats over to the forward base. SCVs finally do start going down on the right side, but, you know, we're very close to a point where Clem could afford a bunker. And MaxPax absolutely is not in a place where you can afford 4, 5, 6 DTs. So a bunker would actually do its job. You know, if this is an actual late game PvT, if they're both on 6, 7 bases, a bunker does shit. We'll see if Clem decides to invest into it. He's continuing to build SCVs too, so he's now taken over the worker counts. Now, they're not always mining, and they're not always alive, but by golly, he is mining. This one observer also would love to have been taken out, but Clem never knew about it. MaxPax tries to slap down another base, and he is successful so far. So he's up to 2 base mining himself, although not enough workers to really call it full-on 2 base mining. And now Clem's army is really intimidating. It's still poor on the upgrades, 1-1 to 2-2. But an EMP is going to make up for that to a huge degree. And MaxPax has not built up, I think, enough splash, really, here. So his gateway army is going to survive. It's going to deal a lot of damage. It's going to be better than we think. And if 2 or 3 Colossus were available, then Colossus beam down, the Zealots get the last swipe. But without those Colossus, the Zealots can be kited for a long, long time. And as we see here, pull back the Marines, let the Marauders tank a little bit more. That's exactly what Clem's trying to do. He's going to take the Zealots down, but not have enough to actually continue the fight. Tries to get out of there and loses a medevac with a couple of units inside of it. 5 SCVs go down again as well. Clem, I can't believe he hasn't tilted off the face of the earth. Like, what Terran is playing a game like this? No Terran. They've either tapped out because Protoss is too frustrating, or they've turtled. You know, built up bunkers, been super passive. Clem is figuring that he can do both. I guess he can. He's even at a point in his economy where he needs to build additional gas geysers. That is a good sign for a Terran. I mean, when we're reduced down to building nothing but Marines, we're still having an okay time. Because Marines are pretty good. But Clem actually able to afford the higher technologies, the starport units, the upgrades. 2-2 are finally on the way. I mean, Clem still needs to be a bit concerned. And actually right here, thinking that there was only the stalkers. Ran after it, but was able to hold on to the rest of his army. MaxPax needs to be careful now, actually. Clem is eagerly waiting for MaxPax to overstep. Surround could come in. Zealot's gonna go off to the right side to specifically check for that scouting. And wow, Clem is distracted! He was dealing with that DT over to the right side. He comes in, kills the ghost. No EMPs going to blanket the army this time, but also no observer. The armory's done. The Widow Mine's now a humongous problem. Finally, the Terran gets a little bit of revenge for the undetectable units. And I don't think MaxPax has picked up on that. His observer actually dying. Oh, he did pick up on it, and he unsieged the observer, but it ran over a missile turret. So now he's down to 1 observer. Is it coming forward? It is, but it's a little late to the party. The Widow Mines are going to eventually reposition. But of course, it's not even about the Widow Mines. As cool as that is, as much as that would be very revenge-filled, I guess, it's about the arc. It's about the surround here. The bio comes in. Yes, at worst upgrades. The medevacs healing the right side are doing an awesome job there. Are they, though? Are they, ZombieGrub? Yeah, I think good enough. If it was 2-2, I think Clem has well and truly won this fight. Could stand his ground like he did. Without the 2-2, maybe it was a little bit in question, but overall, Clem's army was just too damn good. Vikings chasing after these Colossus. No force fields capable of even trying to save the ground forces. And Clem is going to once again find a 3-0, but it was damn close.
I am intrigued.
And this last fight's even happening as 2-2 finishes. MaxPax was so close to winning this game thanks to those DTs in the main base. And not close enough. I don't know where the SCVs went down. I guess another DT run by, but it doesn't matter. GG, Clem, as I said, gets that 3-0. His third in a row against MaxPax. But that third game was a lot tougher. GG, well played.